Hi, this is Doreen, and I'm doing another video. If you'll give me a second to clear, center, and balance my energy, we'll get started. Okay, so I'm just gonna start with the vision that I had when I was clearing my energy, which was I saw myself in front of a light source that I would call the sun. And I was going through these martial art movements and then actually moving towards fighting. And it's not a coincidence because I just watched Big Trouble in Little China, which is an old movie, and the plot or the storyline revolves around a dark magic, this energy that was banished many centuries ago, many millennia, and was trying to come back and manifest on this plane of existence, on the material plane, because he was a spiritual energy, spiritual force, because he was cursed. Okay, so he couldn't manifest on this plane. He was originally on this plane of existence, but the curse removed him and turned him into just spiritual or energy, right? And so the movie is about him trying to manifest back onto the material plane. And so the parallel being drawn here, and so there's a battle to prevent him from doing that. And I don't want to ruin, if anybody's interested in watching it, the story, because it's funny. It's a good movie, but I don't want to ruin it. But anyway, the parallel I draw is this negative energy trying to continue and manifest itself here on this plane of existence. And so there is a battle ensuing, which we all know. But what the most important parallel is that the culmination. So it's been thousands of years, this negative in the movie, and this negative energy is trying to manifest, and it has this opportunity, and so it's trying to use this opportunity to make it happen, and the good guys come in and prevent it, right? And so right now this negative energy is trying to continue to manifest, and right now is a culmination of this battle where someone's going to win and someone's going to lose, if you want to look at it that way. Right now we're just transitioning. Universally, if we look at it from a source perspective, from a divine source perspective, we're moving to the end of a cycle and we're starting a new cycle. So it's natural that we'll transition, and the transition is the negative polarity is moving off this planet, Earth is moving into balance, and from this place we will start moving forward on our path and purpose as a collective, as a world, and as a collective on this world. And meaning not even just humans, we're talking about Gladiolus and her people and the raptors, okay? But right now we're at that culmination, and there is an energetic battle happening for, I guess you could say, for this world. But really, it's just we're going through the motions, okay? Because this has already been determined. The outcome has already been determined. Like I said in previous videos, we're working from a framework, and there are certain nuances and elements that can change, but the framework is such that this world at this point will be moving into balance, okay? So that vision I was having was just showing me the battle, and drawing the parallel between the movie I watch and what's happening right now, in that it is the culminating point, and this transition is going to happen sooner than we think, in the near future, okay? This transition, the complete transition, right? Right now we're just in this middle place. We in my old videos, and some of the old videos back in 2020, I talked about the bridge coming we're at the precipice, some point, and it's the parallel or the metaphor I used was crossing a bridge. So we're at this precipice, but we're crossing the bridge of the precipice, and then when we get to the other side, we'll have that complete transition, right? So we're like on that bridge transitioning to balance, okay? So one side of the bridge is the negative polarity, pushing and trying to maintain control, and all the stuff we had to deal with through 2020 was that attempt to oppress and control and manipulate. And then the bridge is that transitional period, and then the other side of the bridge will be that completion of that, those events that moves balance into control, the divine source into control, that plan into action, where we will be now moving from a place of love and light and balance, and Earth will begin to start its walking its path and purpose from that place. Okay, so just this last week, I saw somebody with a logo on the back of their shirt or jacket, and it had a hummingbird on it, but it was a very interesting graphic. It wasn't a live or a real life or still life image. It was a graphic, like a logo or a brand or something like that. Actually, I don't think it was a logo. I think it was just a design. And I'll do a picture-in-picture, but it's very interesting. It was interesting because the second I looked at it, I was like, it looks like a hummingbird, but there is some morphing to the image. And so I'll just use this to point at, but I'll do a picture-in-picture. Like the beak was very elongated, okay? Here, how it came down, down this way, right? The head was very also elongated, and the eye was very oval in shape. And the first thing that came to me when I was looking at the eye and the shape of the head was the raptors, because whenever they first came, when they first came in to present themselves to me, they'd always come with their head to the side, and they'd be looking at me, and their eye would be here on the side, and they'd be looking at me. And that would almost always be the first image I saw, and then we would start engaging. And so this image just looked like the raptor head. And then the wing, right here, it had some interesting detailing, and it was red, but it reminded me of the orange straps in the movie The Fifth Element. The main character, Lilu, had these straps, like suspenders, that were rubber, right? They look like rubber. And so when I'm looking at this wing, I can see those rubber straps, and so it made me think, even though those are wings to fly, it made me think of underwater movement. And so I started thinking of how different that was, right? And the body itself was a blue-green, which made me think immediately of water and Gladiolus and her people. And so I have a bunch of notes on here that you probably could read when I do the picture-in-picture, but the elongated head, again, that was raptor, which is earth energy. And the blue-green body, the length of the body, the way the body was configured, and the color screamed water, ocean. And then the sleekness of it was very much like, I would say, a penguin, which, although it's a bird, it is an aquatic being, right? They live in the water, or part of their life in the water. And And then the wing also had an aquatic quality to it, but it is about flight, right? Because hummingbirds do fly. And so representing air, which is earth, humans. Humans represent air in this transition. Or as we transition, we'll have these elements and we will represent air, raptors will represent earth, gladiolus will represent water and her people. And then again, in the last video, I'd asked about fire and ether, and that was said it won't be discussed right now. And then the note, the body itself reminiscent of an aquatic being, color enhance that energy. Okay, and so I want to start with that because there's more stuff that came in this past week that will touch on that or will build on that, okay? And so I have notes from last week, the 11th. The question was asked, have you fulfilled your promise to the divine? Because the divine source is fulfilling its promise to us. And so really there were, every religion had there is dogma within all religions, and within that dogma there were covenants, promises that God or the source energy made to us, if we fulfilled our promises to God, right, or to the source. And so that was the question that came in. Have you fulfilled your promise to this source energy, to God, however you want to look at it? And I will also, I will note that I feel that most, definitely the Christian or Catholic Bible has been manipulated, but I do feel that the best parts of it, the good parts of it, have value and were they have value in teaching us, and the lessons for Christians, Jesus Christ, have value in teaching us how to respect and honor one another and honor our divine roots, even though those have been manipulated. Okay, there's still goodness in those books, and I would say that across the board for all religions. And I would also like to add that our interpretation and our honoring of our religions, each of us, whatever that religion is up to us individually. And how we do that and how we manifest that faith and trust is up to us. And no one else has a right to impose what their interpretation of these religious texts is or are, and impose those beliefs or interpretations onto us as individuals. Okay, we are seeking our true inner divinity, and we are seeking our connection to the divine, each individually, and through that connection we connect to one another. Okay, and so I feel like a lot of what we're seeing is, and I don't watch the news, but I hear people talking about horrible things happening, and a lot of that stems from someone else trying to impose their beliefs onto the other, or their interpretation of what it means to believe or be to honor the divine or honor God or whatever that source energy, however you refer to that source divine energy. Okay, so again, have you fulfilled your promise to the divine? Because the divine source is fulfilling its promise to us. And so just that question in and of itself is determining whether or not we will transcend. Have we fulfilled our commitments as an individual, not as a group, not as a collective? Each individual right now is being asked that question. have you fulfilled your commitment to the divine? And if you are walking your path and purpose, I think the answer to that would be yes. Okay, I feel like the answer to that could be yes, but can you ask yourself that question and answer it with confidence that yes, I am walking my path and purpose? Because I think that is what's going to create anxiety. People who are uncertain, have I fulfilled my obligations? Am I walking my path? And the best way to answer that is to connect, and whether it's through prayer or whether it's through meditation, whatever that is for you. Okay, that question can and will be answered if you work towards connecting and asking. Okay, you have to ask those questions. You can't be afraid to ask those questions, because this divine source loves us all unconditionally and wants us all to succeed. Okay, so on the 13th, I have notes: path and purpose. What am I? Why am I here? Question mark. We ask ourselves this question, or these questions, because it is these questions which are the source of creation. It is not until the source of all creation chooses to look at itself and to discover or explore an aspect of its potential reality, existence, or purpose does some sort of perception of itself begin to form. That is why we ask ourselves these questions. They are encoded in our consciousness. They are the foundation and building blocks of creation. As we explore ourselves, our path and purpose, we are naturally, intuitively drawn back to our divine roots, back home to our source, to unification, to unity, oneness, wholeness. We are drawn or called back to our natural state of being, to pure existence, pure love. Okay, so just the same way as this source energy exists, it's just pure existence. It knows it exists, okay? When it's at that state in the void, there is nothing but pure consciousness and awareness of existence. But once the source energy asks itself, what am I? What is my purpose? What am I here for? All those questions, that is when creation begins, okay? That's when it starts to create and different aspects of itself. And we represent different aspects of it, this divine source energy trying to reveal itself. What am I? I'm a reflection of an aspect of the divine source. My kids are an aspect. Any member of my family is an aspect. My couch is an aspect. My computer is an aspect. The trees are an aspect. Animals are an aspect. Insects, soil, air, water, anything in the water, coral, any type of sea life, are all different aspects of this divine source energy trying to see itself, what it is, what it could possibly be, what it could possibly become. Okay? And so that's why when we, in moments of silence or at work or when we're miserable, what am I doing? Why am I here? Am I here just to break rocks? Right? Is this it? Is this all there is? That is why we ask ourselves these questions, because we need to discover what we're here for and what we're doing and why we're doing it. Okay? That is a natural question that all of us ask ourselves, and it is rooted, it is seeded in our consciousness from the divine source, because this source of energy asks itself the same question, and that is where creation starts. Okay? We are an extension of this divine source energy asking itself through our individual experiences, what am I here for? What am I doing? What is my purpose? Okay? So then I started having visions of black holes and all time existing now. That's what the note I have here. And then I have a note, a sun is a black hole, which I've said before. And then I have, when we look at the universe through a telescope, we are looking through time. Okay? And then the black hole was presented to me as a way to start the conversation about how all time is now. All existence exists. All time exists simultaneously. Okay? And so I have black hole, white hole, and the sun. And so also what came in is the Trimurti from Hindu religion, from the Hindu religion. So the black hole represents closure, ending, which is Shiva, the destroyer. The white hole is birthing, which is Brahma, the creator. The sun equals existence, Vishnu, the preserver. Okay? And so I feel like the Hindu religion, the gods, how they represent the different gods, even Trimurti, Shiva, Brahma, Vishnu. I think in my personal feeling is that it's the most accurate depiction of the different aspects of this divine source energy, the different aspects. Okay, there's one source of creation, but the way it sees itself, so the different possibilities of itself are, I feel most accurately depicted in through the Hindu religion and the gods that are depicted in or through their religion. So as I talk about black hole, white hole, and the sun, think about, so if a black hole absorbs all energy, light, everything, if the gravitational pull is so great that light can't even escape, and it absorbs all, let's say, material plane objects, anything that is manifested on this plane of existence, it draws in, including light. If that comes into a black hole, where does it go? Where do those items go? And what they hypothesize is that it comes out a white hole, because we're talking about duality, right? We're talking about light and dark, positive and negative. And so if a black hole absorbs everything, it must be a white hole that projects all of that energy out. Okay? And so so let me just set that premise, okay? So this is what I was shown. If the sun exists here, okay, and then when there's a black hole over there, okay, that black hole is this particular sun at a different place in time, right? But they both exist simultaneously. Okay, so when we're here looking at the sun, and then somebody looks through a telescope and they see this black hole over there existing simultaneously, because here's the sun here and here's the black hole here, right? They're both existing simultaneously, right? But that black hole represents the sun. The transition, this the space between the sun and the black hole represents time, because it would take and thousands of years to get to that black hole, right? But yet that sun and that black hole exist simultaneously. So if you look at the universe as a flat plane, okay, just look at it, even though it's not, let's look at it as a plane, and you think about photographs. Think about every moment in time being photographed, okay? Every moment. Whether it's my individual life or the life of a sun or the life of a tree, if we have individual frames for each moment in time, and we display them out on a table, a massive table called the universe, okay? All of that time exists simultaneously, okay? We're just seeing this moment in time right now, okay? But I can travel from this moment of existence to that moment of existence over there, because they both exist simultaneously, okay? We just don't see it because we're here in this moment right now, okay? So for me to travel through the universe to that moment in time, I would have to move from this photograph to that photograph over there. And depending on how far back in time that goes, a photograph of my childhood is further away, so I'm going to have to travel further to get there. But it still exists right here in this moment. Okay? It's all existing simultaneously on the universe, on this table that we'll call the universe, right? Does that help? I just want to start planting that seed, because this is a conversation that has to keep happening. And we'll start probably from the beginning again, and then add another step, and start from the beginning again and add another step. But I just want to plant this seed of how time can exist simultaneously, all time. Okay? Let me see if there's something else I need to add, but let me see if there's something else I need to add about that component. No. Okay. And so I talked about white hole, black hole, and white hole, but the white hole, okay, if all of this, so this goes back to the torsion. Wow, that just popped into my head. I was like, how am I going to talk about this? That goes back to the torsion field that I use in my meditations, and I show to everybody. And I'll put it in the picture-in-picture, but I'm going to show you this right here, right now. Ooh. Sorry. Okay, you see that? So if we have the black hole on top absorbing everything and everything coming out at the bottom of the white hole, I would also add that a torsion is a theoretical model of the universe creating and collapsing on itself. So if this black hole represents this black hole at the top represents the universe collapsing on itself, the white hole represents its creation. Okay, the cyclic nature of the universe, or source energy. Okay, how we move through cycles of life and death. Okay, and so I'll put that up in a picture-in-picture. But here we see the black hole absorbing all these materials, but we can't really see the white hole. And let me explain why. And we'll just go back to source energy looking at itself. Okay? It exists, it knows it exists. Then it asks itself the question, what am I? What am I? Who am I? What am I doing? What's my purpose? You know, and then when it asks itself that question, or those questions, it starts to manifest, create. And so from the void, which is not a black hole, the void is not a black hole. The void is pure existence, okay? When the source says, what am I? And starts that chain reaction of creation, that's when that light starts. Light, creation is represented in light, okay? And that white hole is that source energy saying, what am I? And that spark and that Fibonacci spiral opening up and starting to create the universe, okay, and existence. All right, so that is manifested from our consciousness, okay? It's manifested from our consciousness. So now, as I say that, I have this vision. Remember I talked about that point? I did this drawing, and I said, right here, this point is just existence. It's really not a point. It's just a spot. I don't know. It's just an awareness. And so that would be the point, that would be considered 0 point. Okay. That would be, and I have another graphic, I'm sorry, let me see if I can get that, that I've used in the past. This one's harder to find because it's kind of buried. Oh, here it is. Yay! 0 point. So funny. I love they call it pseudoscience. They don't want you to believe it. So if this point is right here in the middle of 0 point, is would be destruction and creation. Okay, that would be where source energy resides, because it's bringing that little something. It brings that all creation into itself, and then creates from that place. And I'm actually, now I've been drawn to this. So this is part of one of my affirmations that I say. It is charge of the goddess. And it's something I say every time I say my affirmations, and definitely when there's a full moon. But there's a part of it. So this is part of the charge of the goddess. And I'll put a link in the description that you can read it if you want. Read the whole thing. But there's a portion of it says, "From me all things proceed, and unto me they must return. Let my worship be in the heart that rejoices, for behold, all acts of love and pleasure are my rituals." And so that is what that 0 point, that Fibonacci spiral, represents here. Okay, so at the top, these are Fibonacci spirals, up above and below, and this is 0 point in the middle. So the black hole, from me, from me all things proceed, and unto me they must return, right? So the white hole, from me all things proceed. The black hole, all things must return. To me, all things must return, okay? And so I'm just going to leave that there. I'm just going to move on because I don't want to, I can't give too much at once, and I'm sure at some point we'll revisit that, but that's what I want to, that's what's important to say right now. Also, Gladiolus came in this morning. I was like, I hadn't got a lot of information like I did the week before, so I'm thinking to myself, what is going to happen? What's going to happen today? Do I even need to do a video? And so when I was reading through my notes, I was like, yeah, probably. And then I had a very interesting experience this week, but that connected me very strong, created a very strong connection with the Raptors. And then I started getting more information about this transition. So this past week, I also got a lot of information about what happens after the waters rise and the continents are created, and we start bringing these creatures, these animals, these beings from other worlds to tend this land, and Mother Earth is healed. Mother Earth is healed. I started having all these visions about what's coming up next, and I was like, I'm a bit overwhelmed right now, and I can't remember what happened, but it was like really beautiful. I'll just say it was very beautiful. But so this morning I was trying to channel that again. I'm like, well, it was overwhelming then, but I think I'm ready to talk about it. I think I'm ready to discuss it. So, let's see if that comes in. But nothing came in. But what did come in was gladiolus, water, heart, flow. And so the water, beings in the water, gladiolus and her people, represent heart, the heart. They represent, and they exist in the water. They're aquatic beings, and they represent that flow of energy. So they literally live in flow. They literally live in the flow of water, which represents the flow of source energy. And they are very powerful in that sense, very powerful in that connection, because they exist physically in the flow of energy. Every day they exist physically in the flow through water, and so it is their natural state to move with the flow of the divine from the heart. And so what came in this morning also was that aquatic beings and aquatic worlds in general are very connected to source energy, very connected to the divinity. And so, of course, what comes up next is a shark, right? The next, as I'm having these visions, I'm like, well, there are sharks in the world, they're in the water, they're kind of scary. And what came to me is there is a certain cycle of existence. So sharks here on this world, we all need to eat. So what they do is they're carnivorous, so they're eating fish. That's their natural state. But as our vibration rises, and that's very natural, okay? That's not an aggression. You could say they eat aggressively, but they need to survive. So they are drawn to food. They're drawn to eat when they're hungry, but they don't hunt when they're not hungry. They don't hunt for sport, like humans hunt for sport. They don't do anything with the animal other than kill it, okay? Sharks do not do that. So what was told to me was that that's their natural state. There's nothing dark about it. There's nothing sinful about it. And as this world transitions and as the vibration rises, you will see that many wild beings that we would consider aggressive will become much more benign, because their need to eat is going to be reduced, because as our vibration rises, that source energy will fuel us. We won't need to kill animals to sustain our physical form. Our physical form will be sustained from that source energy and through things that Mother Earth will provide for us. Okay? And so Gladiolus again and her people represent that flow of energy, that flow of source energy, and their existence here on this world is to help us reconnect with that flow. Okay, we've been disconnected from this source energy. I talked about that in the last video, and we were taught and brainwashed into thinking that we are separate from God, that God is up here and we're down here, and he's a punishing God, and we better do what's right or we'll burn in hell, right? At least Christians, Catholics, that's what we're taught, but that's not true. And so Gladiolus and her people are here to represent that flow of energy and that reconnection with that source energy through that flow, and through that the reconnection with our heart. Okay, reconnection with heart source energy. The raptors representing grounding and earth. They represent, and I've talked about this probably a couple years ago in 2020. They represent the structures of society, the roles of divine masculine and feminine, honor, integrity, and boundaries. And I did a video in 2020 about an urgent message, because in that moment it had to be made clear that humans needed to stay out of the raptor area. As long as you stay out of the raptor area, everything's fine. But the second you go into their space, they're going to respond aggressively. Because they are protecting their people, and this is a very tumultuous time for Earth, and the humans are acting irrationally, and they don't know, they can't risk you hurting or harming their people or their society, right? Us hurting their society. So I had sent out that urgent message, and one of the things I talked about was they will stand by as long as you honor their boundaries, they will act with honor and integrity. But the second that you violate those boundaries, they will defend their people by whatever means are necessary. Okay? But we need to return to that, acting with honor and integrity and respecting boundaries. People don't respect boundaries anymore. Look at the world around us. Our Constitution is being stepped all over. It's being completely dishonored. I don't know why or how anybody thought that they had a right to violate laws, but they've not only violated constitutional law for the United States, they've violated divine law. Okay, and why they felt so, this energy or these individuals felt so entitled to do so, is an indication of how the ego can drive a person, as well as believing the lies that were told to them, that they in some way were better than anybody else or others. Okay, so the raptors represent us and will help us in rebuilding our societies in a way that's healthy for us, because that's what the reptiles as a whole, including Alpha Draco, including any other type of reptilian being, that is what they represent in the universe. And I had also talked about like the mantis beings. They represent like working with DNA, the science of that, the biology. They are very gifted in that. Okay, the reptilian beings are very gifted, and in this universe represent societal structures, from the family unit, the spouse, husband, wife, children, the city or community, city, county, state. From our perspective, city, county, state, country, all right, continents. They represent those structures, and they are very efficient in creating and maintaining those types of structures. My friend, so I've engaged Merlin. I've engaged, I call him Sebastian, as well as and so Merlin would be a religious leader, the religious leader for the raptors. Sebastian would be their military leader, their head of their military structure. And then my friend represents their government structure, okay? And one of the things I've said in other videos is that even though I have seen his wife and his children, and he has engaged me and presented them to me, but even though whenever I engage him, I don't necessarily see them, I can always feel that his wife is very close by and his children are always very close by. And what that told me to this morning, as this information was coming in, is an honoring of the roles of the divine masculine and the divine feminine. Because even though he is the leader of their government and he is male, his wife, his spouse, is as important to him as his role in his society. What she does and how she supports him and their family and herself and their home, and how she engages their community and how he engages their community, is very important to them as a family, but to their people. Okay, that doesn't happen here on this world anymore. People act in ways that they think they're honoring community and they think they're honoring people, races, gender, but really, I just see a bunch of bullying. That, if I'm completely honest, that's what I see. I see a bunch of bullying. If you don't believe what I believe, then I'm gonna bully you and I'm gonna condemn you and I'm gonna call you names and insult you because you don't believe what I believe, and I'm in the right and you're on the wrong. That's what I see. But within this culture, within these people, the raptors, there is a very high integrity. There's a very high honoring of the world and the people around them. And the boundaries they set about what's acceptable and what's not acceptable are very clear. And it is accepted across the board by all people because they are unified as a people. And that's what they will represent in this world. They will help us return back to that. And they will help us, both Gladiolus and the raptors will help us rebuild this world in a way that is beneficial for humanity, but also the planet as a whole, including our allies, Gladiolus and the Raptors, how we will engage them and how we will live together on this world in harmony, as partners, okay, as allies, as brothers and sisters, because they will be part of our family, okay? You know, they will be part of us. They may live on different parts of the planets, but different parts of the planet, but they are part of us, and very important parts of us. And so, and then the last thing that came in was, oh God, this right here, okay? And so this is just kind of my meditation a bit, one of the things I talk about, and it says down here, approach to creation. I always talk about through our heart, the self, we connect to our heart center, and through that we connect to the higher self, and through the higher self we connect to the source, and through that source we connect to all energy in the universe. And as I clear, center, and balance my energy, I just determine my path and purpose, walk my path and purpose, and I seek guidance, right? Drive forward through the heart and seek guidance. I connect to the higher self, connect to the divine, and through that, all other energy in the universe. And so that's what this is representing. This is representing that connection. And so I just put notes up here: beings of love and light, the raptors, angels, gladiolus, Mother Earth, guides, Father, Son, Solus, humanity. So we connect to all these things through source. That's the clearest connection. But in order to make sure that we have a clear connection, we need to maintain clear, centered, and balanced energy. And we do that by clearing, centering, and balancing our energy, but also creating protective fields around us, so that especially at this time, while this negative polarity is really trying to hold on and trying to permeate our energy fields and manipulate our thinking and move us out of balance and into darkness, it's really important to understand how to protect ourselves. And so I talk to people about that a lot. And I did do a video. I did 3 videos. And at the beginning of the video, there's a 15-minute section where I just talk about protecting, clear, centering, and balancing your energy, and protecting your energy. And I'll actually put those in the description also. Okay, so give me a second. And so nothing else came except for in that video where I talk about clearing, centering, and balancing your energy. I also bring the light down through myself and through Mother Earth, and I clear Mother Earth, and I set up protective fields. And I did a class, and the first week I taught people how to do that, and the second week when they came back to talk to me, I had a couple people that said that when they were clearing Mother Earth, they got really dizzy and a little nauseous, and so I think that was too much for someone who's just starting out. And so I feel like it's important to say, just work from that, using that torsion field to clear, center, and balance your energy. Just work with your own field. Don't go into Mother Earth. Just go in through the top of your head, down through the bottom of your feet, and just cycle that around and put a protective field around yourself and work from that place. Don't add Mother Earth until you are ready. And whatever, you'll know when you start connecting, you'll know. You can ask for guidance. But that was just something I was guided to do. And so I didn't realize, I just didn't realize, based on your energy field and your work and your disciplines, how it might affect someone who wasn't doing the same things I was. That's all. So, all right, I think that's it. Give me a second. All right, that's it. Thank you.